All right. Hopefully you at home can hear me. Can you guys give me a thumbs up or just a yes if you guys can hear me in the online world there? Any of you? One of you? Anybody from home, that is? My volume on?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can hear you.
Okay, there we go. Very good. Whew. All right. Here's what we've got going on today, folks. Okay. I'm going to skip over the quick video, okay, because I want to get like when you guys are doing your learning from at home, I want it to be like a 10, 15-minute check-in. Know what I mean? I want you guys to be able to get in and get out of this. So what I want to do is I want to get right to the little mini lecture that I'm doing today, okay? And then we'll play a little Quizlet Live, and then we'll let the online people go. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's basically what the agenda is for today. Let me get right to it now, okay? So for those of you that, well, even for you folks that are here, if you want to see the slides specifically about what I'm talking about right now, you can see those slides in PowerPoint under the big business folder right now. If you just want to access that and you want to, if you want to like click through that. Hey, what's up, Todd? If you want to click through that as we're going, that would be cool. Otherwise, if you just want to watch up here, that's cool too. How you guys doing? Just okay? Oh, okay. Very good then. It's great to see faces in here. Let's get right to it. All right. So I'm going to do that. Got a little PowerPoint that looks like this. The Incorporation of America. Have you guys ever heard the expression, the business of America is business? You ever heard that before? That is going back to the time period in which we are studying here, which is like the rise of big business. Okay? This is where the United States is going to be all about business, all about manufacturing. Okay? So we know that it's about the year like 1920 in which more people live in the city than in the country. Okay? And that transition is basically going to start here in the mid-1800s. Okay? You know, we often look at like, who are some of the richest people in the world today? Bill Gates is one. Who's another one? Another guy. He just resigned from Amazon. What's his name? Yeah, Jeff Bezos. Okay? And we look at the amount of money that they have and we just kind of drop our jaws like, good governor, how could anybody ever use that amount of money in their life, right? Okay? Well, the thing about that, and I haven't really found a great comparison because it's really hard to compare. But when we look at the people that we're going to start studying today, the people that you're going to start studying when I give you like the vocab words, a lot of them are going to be people. And a lot of them were people that made sick, crazy money. Like unbelievable money relative to the amount of money that was in the world at that time. You guys get me? Like 8 billion people in the world today, and the world has remarkably more money than it did in the mid-1800s. But the amount of millions and sometimes billions of dollars that these people were making relative to the amount of money in the world at that time is pretty friggin' substantial, okay? So how did we get to industrialization, okay? And then another thing that I want you to kind of consider here is that would people be able to make this kind of crazy money again? And even further that, which I've kind of brought up with you in the past, is are we living in a new Gilded Age where Amazon, Google, do they just have a monopoly that is a lot like what we had back in the old days with Standard Oil, with Carnegie Steel? Is it comparable? Does the government need to step in and go, okay, that's enough. We need enough of these monopolies. We need to break you up to see what's going on. Well, the rapid industrialization of the time period was really it was really kind of spawned by this, the steam revolution, okay? Making steam engines where they were able to transport this stuff a heck of a lot easier. And the railroad was everything in the world at that time is going to be tied to the railroad, either building the railroad or by transporting something across the country. Obviously, you guys, well, when we studied Western expansion, you guys know that, the minute that they could get that transcontinental railroad, now it's going to break up the travel time from east to west coast, and people were going to be able to move livestock and goods and people, from east to west, west to east, relatively quick. Okay. We're not going to get into some of these other things, specifically like Thomas Edison. What a friggin' Renaissance man that guy was. To really kind of put it lightly, that he was just so well-rounded in all of the things that he did, and a number of inventions coming from him. And we could get into this big debate about, who really invented this stuff. But what I really want to get to is Carnegie and Rockefeller and J.P. Morgan and some of these other people. Okay, but just giving you an idea of what else is going on. Did we ever talk before in U.S. history? And I had you in U.S. history, right? Did we ever talk about AC versus DC in U.S. history A? No. Well, George Westinghouse is all about alternate current, okay? And direct current is something that you're going to see. I'll come back to that. Wish I had this more in order here, but. You guys understand that Henry Ford didn't invent the automobile, right? But did he rather put the assembly line in play with the making of the automobile, and then kicked out these tin Lizzies for all of the middle class to really kind of have? And that's going to really transform where people can live, because once they have access to the car, then they have access to the ability to not have to live in the city. Okay, they can start to live in places not close in proximity to where they were. Next, are you guys familiar with what a patent is? You guys know what that is? Kind of like a copyright type thing, but that something is like yours to own in terms of you made up the idea. So like my father worked for 3M in downtown St. Paul for like 30 plus years. And he's got like a crazy amount of patents to his name. And what that meant is he developed and he designed these little sanding discs that you put like on a sander, and like, they'd use them for stuff like eyeglasses, and they'd use them for like golf clubs and stuff that's really smooth like that. And the point is that he would get like he'd get a patent for the design, for the product, and for the machine that had to make the thing. So for like every time my dad, kind of like this crazy inventor, every time he did that, he got 3 patents, and each one of it is signed by the President of the United States to protect that mental property that he has. But look at the amount of patents that are increasing as we go here, basically securing their idea and not letting somebody else take and steal their idea. Okay. We've got unskilled, semi-skilled labor in abundance, all of these natural resources and all of this stuff to do stuff with it. All right. But this is the big learning target for today, folks, is how were these people able to make this crazy amount of money? Laissez-faire economics. You guys have heard laissez-faire before, yes? Yes or no? Did I talk about this before? Okay. Laissez-faire, quite literally, means hands off. It means if you're the government, keep your grubby fingers out of my business. Don't put taxes on me. Don't put restrictions on me. And my business will be able to ebb and flow however I'd like. Got me? So if I'm a business owner, I don't want the government coming in and telling me like, hey, you have to pay your workers a minimum wage. You have to pay them this, okay? Or you have to give them medical, or you have to give them all this other stuff, okay? Because in this time period, there's no safeguards for workers. If you were to, if any of you were working in the factory and you caught your arm in the machine and something terrible happened to you, in today's society, that person would probably get their medical expenses paid for and probably, sue the company or something, right? Because back then, you just get fired and bye. We got a number of people outside here that are willing to do your job and probably for less money. Okay? There's no unionization, so there's no like protection about that kind of stuff. Like if I go out in the hallway right now and I slip on like, let's say I don't know, the water fountain's like overflowing or something. I'm just not paying attention. I slip and I fall and I break my hip because I'm 40 years old now. Did you know that? 40 years old? It's not good. It's not good. I slip, fall, break my hip. My union would protect me. You guys know what I mean? My union would protect my job. But back then, prior to any unionization, okay, there was no protection for workers whatsoever. So you are going to see with a lot of these big time, you'll call them entrepreneurs or you call them captains of industry, you're going to see a lot of strikes because they're going to forbid a lot of these things from happening, okay? Now, can anybody tell me just, well, here, let's go over this first, okay? Individual is a moral and economic ideal. Individuals should compete freely in the marketplace, meaning like, this is the idea that if you're naturally good at business, you'll just naturally do well. You don't need the government to come in and help you, right? So those of you that are like young conservatives and you just love this idea, you probably hated back in the day when maybe you don't remember this, but remember when some of the motor companies were going under and the government stepped in and went, here's a buyout. Then they went, here's some money so that General Motors and the Ford Motor Company can stay afloat. Anybody remember that a little bit? No? Well, a lot of people that still had this mentality were like, what are you doing? They're failing. Let them fail. If you let them fail, then somebody else will rise up. You get what I'm saying? But that's not what the government wants to do because the government looks at it and goes, no, all of these people, though. You need to protect all of these people, okay? So the market was not man-made or invented, okay? It's something that ebbs and flows. And if you're going to just kind of step in and mess with it, you're going to kind of mess it up. So keep your filthy hands off it is what they're saying, okay? There's no room in the government, okay? Or excuse me, no room for government in the market because when the government steps in, they kill it, okay? So can anybody tell me off the top of their head, Darwin, okay? Now, Darwin was not a social theorist, okay? But he was all about science. And his theory in science was what? What's Darwinism? You guys study it in science, right? Darwinism? What is it? What was Darwin's theory? Yeah.
His theory was about
Evolution,
evolution.
right? Okay. Hopefully you guys remember this, like when we were talking about like the Scopes monkey trial. Okay, when people wanted to teach Darwin's theory of evolution in the classroom, they went, oh, can't do that because that's counterintuitive, and it's not. It doesn't jive with the Bible. Got me? But with that notion is the idea of survival of the fittest, right? You see something out in nature, and there's two things going after the same, meek prey. Well, whatever one is faster is going to get there, and the slower one's going to die off, and then the species will grow strong, right? Pretty sound theory. Okay? What if we took that theory, okay, it's Herbert Spencer's idea, you took that and you applied it to business. And here's the idea, okay? What if government kept its grubby fingers out of business and just allowed them to ebb and flow as they please? Got me? Not stepping in and telling them that they have to wear masks. Not stepping in and telling them that they have to be at 30% capacity. Not stepping in and telling them that you have to pay your workers a certain amount. Okay? And then the ones that will naturally succeed, and the ones that will naturally fail. That's social Darwinism. Okay? Social Darwinism, okay? And this jives very well with laissez-faire economics, okay? But it's not a very nice theory because it's basically saying that if you fail at business, you'll probably die off, and the rest of us will continue to survive and will continue to thrive. Does that make sense, guys? Not really considering the fact that, monopolies in this time period could basically wipe everybody else out, okay? All right, so individuals must have the absolute freedom to struggle, to succeed or fail. Therefore, for state intervention to reward society for the future, for the economy is futile. Okay, so it's again the idea that if government steps in, it's going to muck it up. Okay. All right. We're going to skip past this and we're going to get right to here. Okay. So here's the Standard Oil Company. Okay. Anytime here's a little hint for you with interpreting these political cartoons. Anytime you see an octopus, they're talking about a monopoly where they're reaching out and those tentacles are affecting every aspect of that culture. Got me? Okay. Anytime you see big fat guy with a money bag for a suit and a top hat, that's corruption. Got me? And you'll see several of these like political cartoons as we go along here. Okay. So, two vocab words that I want you guys to understand. And I'll come back to horizontal and vertical integration in just a second, but I want you to see this, okay? So let's say that I am an oil manufacturer, okay? There's two types of monopolies that I would really benefit from. Number one is this, okay? I own the production of raw materials. I own the transportation, meaning I'm getting it from A to B. I'm owning the processing or the refinery, okay? I'm owning the transportation again, and then I own the sale to the consumer. I own the actual gas station in which it's sold. You guys get me? So like I own the Amoco, or I own the whatever it might be, the British Petroleum, okay? I own every step in that process. You guys see how this is vertical? Okay? So that means I own every step in the process. Okay? Now it doesn't mean that I own every part of this. I just own every step in the process. That's one type of monopoly. The other type of monopoly is if I own everything in that one step. Got me? If I own every processing or every refinery, then any of you that want to start up your own oil refinery, you got to go through me. And then I can raise or lower the prices as I see fit because I own them all. Got me? So those are the two types that would really happen in this time period. Horizontal integration, this way, that was John D. Rockefeller's baby. Okay? He went, okay, what's the thing that I want to dominate? I'll just own the one step. Okay? I'll own every refinery in the world. And if anybody wants to refine oil, they got to go through Rockefeller. Okay? Carnegie thought just the opposite way. Okay? Vertical integration. Okay, and that was U.S. Steel. Got me? U.S. Steel, okay, and then the Standard Oil are really our two big nuggets in this time period, okay? All right, in order to make more of those monopolies, okay, so like if we both were competing oil, okay, businesses, and we eventually realized that we're like, hey, holy buckets, we own 80% of the market together. What if we merged? Then we could squash out the remaining 20% just by us driving our prices down since we have 80% of the market. Then when all the other little oil companies go out, we put them back up. And that's how they made crazy sick money. Does that make sense? You guys know how monopoly works, okay? So that's why you're going to see in this time period, mergers allowed to happen because of the laissez-faire economic policies of the time period. The government went, we're going to keep our hands out of it. We're going to allow them to do what they want. Okay? A new business is going to pop up here as well. Okay? Finance. What the heck does that mean? Well, it means you're going to have money to invest in the market. You might as well have somebody to advise you in how to invest that into that market. You guys get me? So even the concept of Wall Street as an entity, okay, really starts up, okay? Here it is in 1867, here it is in 1900, okay? Look at this now. Here's the percentage of billionaires in 1900. Okay, you can see this transition here really taking place here where you've got, look at railroads dominating it in 1900, but now look at this. This is finance now. Okay, people realize that the get-rich way to really dominate the market is going to end up in finance in 1918. Okay, so like I told you before, big guy with a top hat. Okay, this means corruption. Very good. Okay, and you can see all of the little, you're going to see Vanderbilt, you're going to see Gould. These are all examples of railroad tycoons that are taking advantage of the situation. Okay, look at this, the bosses of the Senate. Here's the Copper Trust, here's the Steel Beam Trust. Okay, anytime you have to interpret that, you see fat guy with the money bag outfit, that's corruption, okay? Okay, so what I really want you guys to understand is what to think about these guys. That's what we're going to be studying this last couple of weeks. What do we make of these guys? Are they captains of industry that made America what it is today? Like we wouldn't have these railroads, we wouldn't have Standard Oil, we wouldn't have this crazy amount of industry? Or were they robber barons that took advantage of workers? That's what I want you guys to really kind of look at today, okay? Cornelius Vanderbilt, William Vanderbilt, you guys have seen this before, okay? Or excuse me, at least heard of him before. All right, now, here's the other part of the issue though, okay? Rockefeller and Carnegie, a lot of people went, well, they just set up a trust and they gave their family their money for the rest of their lives. No, they didn't. They believed in something called the gospel of wealth, okay? In that it's your job in your time period on earth to make as much friggin' money as you can. Because the more money you have, the more you're going to be able to give away at the end of your life. And what they did is they ended up having, now it is racist, okay, because Carnegie believed that the Anglo-Saxon race was superior and that's why they did it, okay, is because through Anglo-Saxon principles, that's the only reason why I'm doing this, okay? But he looked at inequality as inevitable and good, okay? And then at the end of, their time period, they really kind of opened up a ridiculous amount of like libraries and parks and things like that. Okay, you go and look at like a major city library, and I can almost guarantee you it was probably put in place by the Carnegies or Rockefellers because they gave a lot of that away. So anyway, I know I went long with my lecture, so I apologize to the people online, but here's what I want you to do right now. I want you to go to Quizlet.live. Let's learn about some of these terms. Oh, man. Quizlet.live. Here we go. 533-376. You guys see that online? 533-376. Six, 8, 10, 12, 13. Looks like you can. Whew. I don't like this thing. Just like keeps all the heat right in there. Especially when I get fired up about robber barons and captains of industry. All right, give you about 30 seconds to get in there if you haven't done so already. All right, let's play, shall we? Where'd my mouse go? Oh, there we go. And there. Racing. we go, round 2. And they're racing. Get to know these terms, folks. We'll have a turn quiz in this next week, folks. This is it, folks. This one's for all the Tostitos. Man, they're racing. Oh, my computer decided now is a good time for an update. What a tremendous time for an update. That's a nice sound. Are you guys still able to play, or did it kick you out? Seriously. I must have clicked something wrong this morning. Fun. Okay, folks. Folks online.